Hi, it's Erica. I have not put up a video in a little bit, but tonight I have to catch a flight that I have to wake up for at 4 in the morning, so I decided, how about I just not go to bed and then stay up? How about I just not go to bed and stay up all night and just drink and film YouTube videos instead? Because I am what's known in many cultures as a genius. So that's what I've decided to do instead. So it's finally time to film a video for the first time in a little while. So what I want to tell you about today is, I guess it's a coming out of sorts. It's a big secret reveal. It's something that I have never talked about on social media before. But, and I honestly thought I was going to keep a secret like for the rest of my life, which is funny because I'm terrible at keeping secrets about myself. I always end up spilling, but anyways, I used to be a stripper, and I want to tell you guys a little bit about what it's like, what my experience was like, how I got into it, why I'm not doing it anymore. So, as a little background, the first time I ever even went in a strip club, it was a bikini bar, and and that's like a bar where they do pole dancing and stuff, but they don't actually take anything off. They'll wear like lingerie, bikinis, stuff like that. And I was fascinated by it. I was fascinated by the pole dancing and just at the ability to like make money using your body, and like just how beautiful you are, like, which just seemed kind of fascinating to me because how I grew up, like, I was a very good student. I was really good at school, and that's kind of how people saw me. And I just definitely never done anything like making money based off of, you know, my body. And I always had this idea too that being a stripper meant that you'd give up part of your soul or something, you know, like there was something that you would lose of yourself, and that it was, you know, some kind of like a rock bottom type of job. But then when I went and I saw these girls dancing, and they definitely did not look like rock bottom or losing any kind of their souls. They looked fucking powerful and sexy and fantastic, and I was fascinated by it. And so then some more time goes on, and I've just had like, so I'm an actress, I'm a YouTuber obviously, and I've had a variety of jobs that like support me while I do that, and while I pursue those careers, because like acting is not something that is super consistent, and so you need a job that's gonna like pay you regularly every week, you know? And I've found plenty of jobs to do that over the years, but everything was kind of like subsistence level, you know? It was like just enough to get by, and it was frustrating, and it just felt like I was really sick of like only ever just making enough. And then I had a friend who told me about a friend of hers who was a stripper and who had stripped through college and paid for all of college that way, and like had really positive experiences doing it. And I started thinking like, well, what is keeping me from doing that? And really what it was is like, I guess a fear of judgment or something. Because when I really like looked into myself, I thought, I don't have a moral problem with it at all. Like, I don't think anything is morally wrong with it. I know that some other people have a moral problem with it. But like, why am I concerned about their moral problem that I don't have? I don't think that there is anything wrong whatsoever with stripping or any kind of sex work. And so I just started to feel like more and more like, ah, fuck, well, maybe I should try it. And I was definitely nervous. But then so I'm a big researcher. I like to like read about things before I get into them. And I read for a week on this website called Stripper Web. And I read fucking everything. I read like every thread I could find. And just the more I read, the more I felt like, okay, I can do this. I have like a more like realistic, well-rounded idea of what the job is. And if these girls could do it, I think I can do it too. And honestly, one of the things I was most intimidated by, even more than like the taking the clothes off, was that it's a sales job. Like, because you might think, oh, you go up and you spin around on the pole and you take your top off and they shower you with money, but that is really not where you're getting most of your money. Like, most of your money is going to come from selling lap dances, and that is a sales job. You have to sell dances. And I have never been in sales, and that part was like pretty intimidating to me, because like even like I got invited to do a beauty pageant when I was in high school, but you had to like sell a certain amount of ads like for the pageant or something in order to do it. And I was like, fuck no, I'm definitely not gonna do that. So I didn't do the pageant. So anyways, always pretty averse to sales. But I decided to finally just do it one time, and I found a strip club that was like pretty close to my house. I didn't know that many people who lived around me. Like, I just sort of moved there, so I wasn't too worried about like running into people I know. And I asked for an audition, and basically how it works at a lot of clubs, and all you have to do is like call ahead of time and ask, but they'll have a time, or they'll say anytime except for our rush hour or whatever, when you can come in, and basically you will ask for an audition. You'll get up, you'll do a song or two on the pole, you'll dance, and then they'll decide if you can work there or not. If they decide you can work there, you can frequently work that same night, and if not, then you just move on with your life. So I went to this club, I did the audition, and there were 2 other girls there with me, and they were so nice and they were super cool, and then none of us got hired. And I thought that was crazy, because they both had experience and they were both super hot. And so when I first got up like for the audition, like, there's a moment, you know, there is a moment when you first whip your top off and you're just in a room full of people, or it's not like there's a million people there, it was probably like 5 p.m. at a strip club, but and you realize like, this is not that hard, you know, this is not that crazy. This is just combining things I've done in my life many times. I've been naked many times. I've been in rooms many times with other people. I'm combining these things together. It's fine. And so just really, I don't know, it just wasn't that bad. It wasn't that weird. But also I've always been a performer. I've spent a lot of time on stage. I'm very comfortable dancing. So I guess that part probably did make it easier for me. So, this one girl and I, who we did the audition together, we decided we're gonna audition somewhere else together. There's a club that she used to work at, and so she recommends that we go up there. So, like the next day or a couple days later, we go up to that club. They say that we can audition, and then they immediately told her like, okay, you're hired, you can do night shift. And then they told me, you're hired, but you can only do day shift. But you're here right now and it's night, so just like keep working and it's fine. And so then all of a sudden, like immediately, I'm a stripper. Like, and that's so weird. That's just like, imagine something that you've never used to describe yourself, and then you're suddenly saying, like, I'm a nuclear physicist. Wow. It's today. It's just happened. And so, yeah, so then I was a stripper. And so yeah, and I'd like gotten a little outfit. You can really start with just about anything, like a lingerie set that you already have, a bikini that you already have. I mean, a thong or something is good. Like, obviously it's a showing the skin kind of business. And, so yeah, once again, I didn't feel that weird up on stage. Like the dancing on stage part, I won't lie, pretty cool. Not very hard. Not always great, because like sometimes you're dancing your fucking heart out and your titties are out and no one's like paying attention or giving you money because they're all like drunk and talking to each other or something, and you're like, excuse me, titties, dollars now. So that does happen. But the really weird part is that you have to talk to people and then sell them dances. And this was just like, I don't fucking love talking to strangers anyway. Like, there's a reason I'm a YouTuber. You guys are behind a camera, I can't see you. And then, yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't, you know, this is weird. But anyways, my very first night, it really didn't turn out that bad. Like, basically you walk around and you have a short conversation with people, and then you ask them if they want to buy a dance. You don't want to spend too long talking to anyone because you're wasting your time. You're not getting paid. That's the thing, when you're a stripper, you do not get paid. Okay, well, this is different now because now the laws have changed, at least in California, and you have to be an employee. But a lot of places, you're just an independent contractor and you are not paid by the club. They take a commission out of what you earn, and sometimes you even have to pay a stage fee. Basically, like, you're renting your ability to, like, be there for the night. And then, yeah, so, like, you have to be actively making your money or you're not making money. Like, you could walk out with $0 or, like, in some clubs, even negative amount of dollars. Which, who the fuck wants to take their clothes off for a negative amount of dollars? I paid $30 to take my clothes off tonight? Fuck no. So, what I remember about the first night is I did tell people that it was my first night, and they would not believe me. You know, they would think like, oh, this is some kind of like stripper trick or something. I'm like, no, literally, I have never done this before. And then I remember I got one customer who was like, he was just like a nice guy, and he was easy to talk to, and he bought a bunch of dances from me, and he was like close to my own age. And I don't know, it was just sort of like a good start. Like, it wasn't that difficult, it wasn't that like intimidating. The thing I was surprised by more than anything is that really it felt very intimate. And this, I think, is also like, this really varies by person. So like, different strippers are gonna have different personas. You're gonna have a different way that you approach the job. And some girls are very good at like, they're not gonna have any conversation. They're gonna come up and ask every single person in the club, want to dance? And if they say no, they move on to the next one. And that's it. And there are some girls who do great with that. And there are some girls who are like really good with, they have the very hot, like super stripper persona, you know, like giant fake boobs and whatever. And then there are girls who like look like nerds and they've got glasses, and there are guys who like exactly that. And then, I don't know, there's me who, I don't know exactly how to say what I'm like whatever, you guys can all tell what I'm like, but like, I'm a little silly, I'm a little goofy, I'm going to make some jokes, and like, I'm smart, I'm college educated, you can tell that when you talk to me. And like, that's not something I think is important as like value in a human being, but it's just something that affects sometimes if people will want to buy dances from you or not. Because like, sometimes people would just straight up not be interested in me because I'm just not the like hot bimbo, like empty-headed stereotype that they have in their head of what they're trying to find. And so what I found worked best for me is guys who really wanted kind of like that girlfriend experience. They wanted that kind of like affection. They wanted basically like, yeah, attention and care from someone who was hotter than they could actually get to date in real life. And so when I would give them a dance, I would frequently, I would touch their face, I would look into their eyes, and also you always have to ask for tips for fucking everything. This is something you need to know. If you're ever going to be stripping, every single thing you do should be paid, and you get tips for everything. So like, you shouldn't just get a dance, you should get a dance plus tips, always. And you have to always be pushing for the tips, asking for them, and that's how you're gonna make the majority of your money. So that's just kind of what I figured out, like ended up sort of working the best for me, is like, I would frequently find there'd be like a group of like rowdy guys who like love to go to a strip club, and then there'd be like one of their friends who like kind of got dragged there and it's not totally his thing. And I would always go for that guy, and I would always get that guy. Because for whatever reason, I don't know, I just always connected easily with that person, and they would usually be like, you don't really seem like you fit here, I don't really feel like I fit here, and we would kind of bond, and I'd be like, bro, like, hey, let's have a nice time. You're at the strip club anyways, so, you know, let's rage. And get a drink at the bar or something. They pay for it, obviously. And like some guys are gonna wanna just buy you drinks, but you have to remember, like, you're not there to get drunk, you're there to fucking work and make money. And so you need to like keep making money all the time. You can put in a little bit of time with somebody so that they get to know you, they like you, they'll buy you dances, but you really need to keep track of like how much time you're spending on anyone versus how much money they've been giving you. So anyways, that's kind of what ended up working out for me best, is I just figured out like, all right, there's a lot of guys who are just sort of like, yeah, they're single and they're lonely and they're attention starved, and they just want someone to like look into their eyes and they can feel like they have a connection with that person. And in a way that was cool, because I felt sort of like, this is actually like a really valuable thing I can do for people. Because it is something that everybody needs. You know, everyone needs that kind of like human connection, but it was also fucking exhausting, because it gives a lot of like your energy and who you are. And kind of what I found with clients is it was about 50-50, where it was like, about half of customers are really respectful and nice. They get that it's a fantasy. They get that you are not going to fuck them. You are not going to touch their dick. They are there to look at you. They are there to like bask in your beauty. And they do not want to go beyond anything that is, you know, beyond your limits in any way. And then there's another half of guys who are trying to get the most for the least amount of money possible, and they are going to try and pay as little as they can while touching as much of you as they can. And those guys are like fucking skeezy as shit, and they're all horrible. And so yeah, unfortunately it's about 50-50 is what I learned. And so it's like the good customers will make you feel like, hey, this job is like really not bad, and sometimes actually like really cool. Because you'll definitely, you feel this amazing, like you feel how fucking beautiful you are, how powerful you are as a woman, how much like men just like lose their minds over your body and over you, and how much you can demand just by like giving a man your attention. Like you really don't have to give anyone anything for free, and that's a great thing to learn, I think. And then those other half of men are exhausting, and then you have to learn how to deal with them. You have to learn how to like pick them out and sort of weed them out. And so like, all right, here's an example. There was a guy who would wear these really, really thin pants. So some guys will do this. They'll wear very, very thin pants. And then they're basically trying to come during their lap dance, which is not what a fucking lap dance is for. A lap dance is a tease. A lap dance is a fantasy. A lap dance is not a fucking hand job. Like, but anyways, there are guys who are disgusting and they'll try to use it like that. So there was this one guy and he was like that. And the first time I gave him a dance and I was like, ew, disgusting. Like, I can like see the outline of his dick in his pants and like a little spot on his pants from his cum. Ew, ew. So I was just not gonna dance for him again, but he was really into me and he kept trying to get another dance for me. So the next time I saw him, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna take his money and he can go fuck himself. So I took him back to like the dance booths. He paid me. And then I would not touch him. I was like a solid foot away from him. And this is another thing, like varies depending based on state. Like some states have a rule that you literally cannot touch each other. Most states do not have that rule. Like most states you can like be on their lap, actually like a lap dance, you know. And and I'm in California, which is a very legally touchy state. So but I wouldn't touch him. So I was doing what's called an air dance, where you're just like, you're keeping your distance. And he was super mad. He was like, come on, like, you know, get on my lap. And I was like, when you're wearing those pants, absolutely not. Like, I will absolutely not get anywhere close to you. And he's like, oh, but I fucking paid you. And I'm like, yeah, you paid me for a dance, which I'm giving you. I'm giving you the dance I'm gonna give you. I'm not going to touch you. And then he starts yelling like, I'm gonna get you fired. And like, I love this shit. I live for this kind of stuff. So I'm like, you fucking try, bitch. Yeah, and then we just got in a big yelling fight, and well, I didn't get fired. Every time that guy saw me after that, he would look at me like I was, I don't know, the devil or something, and it felt great. So I stripped for a few months, and then how I got out of it is like kind of several reasons. I never had a moment where I was like, I'm gonna quit. The one that would be the most like that, and this is gross and it's disturbing, but like, I'm just putting it all out there so you will know, is one time a guy, he jizzed on me. He jizzed on like the outside of my underwear, which like, I didn't realize he'd pull his dick out at all. I hadn't seen it at all. Guys can be very sneaky. They can be very disgusting. You're dancing, you're turned the other way or something. And I was like really panicked. You know, what if he like gave me an STD through my underwear? And it was just really disgusting. And so after that, I wanted to like murder everyone I came in touch with and never ever go back to work. So that was like kind of a moment. But also that was like, I'm sure that's something that people get better at as they, you know, dance for longer, is you just get more aware of those kind of things. And, you know, I was still pretty new. And then I remember I started talking to somebody and I realized like I didn't want to tell him. And I had like a friend that I'd made there at the strip club, and she was always like, no, I never tell guys what I do. Like, unless a guy's paying your bills, he does not need to know what you do. And that was a lot of strippers. They were like, basically, this is a secret. You don't tell anyone. You don't talk about this on social media. And you do not tell men until you were in like a serious ass relationship with them. And I didn't know how to deal with that kind of like secrecy, and that really like weighed on me. And there was a law change in California that made it so strippers had to become employees. So strippers had been independent contractors, they had to become employees. And what this meant, basically, it might seem good, but really what it meant was a lot less freedom and less money. So what I'll say about stripping is like, is it a personally degrading job? No, not more than like literally any other kind of customer service job. Like, I used to work at a movie theater and then like an improv theater, and both of those were more degrading jobs. Just like cleaning toilets for like very little money and people being really mean to me was way, way worse. But stripping is an emotionally taxing job, and it's a physically taxing job. Like, you are, well, it's basically, you're an athlete, you know, you're dancing, like it's a sport. And then you're also like, you're in a sales position and you're fucking analyzing like what people need. And you're basically like therapizing these like sad men who aren't happy in their marriages. And it's a lot. And it's only really worth it if you're making a lot of money. And that's why it is worth it, is because you can make a lot of money. And so when I would walk out with like $600 in cash one night, 6 hours, because I would usually never work longer than 6 hours, I'd be like, okay, this was worth it. I feel good. And I never had to make any kind of a schedule. You basically just show up and work whenever you wanted to work, and you could take off whatever time you wanted to. So I never had to ask like, oh, I'm going out of town for Christmas, can I take off work? No, you just like don't come. And I really like that, because I hate being, I don't know, I hate just having to ask someone else what I can do, and I don't like that shit at all. So that really worked for me. But then after strippers became employees in California, you would have to get a schedule. So you would be on a schedule, on a work schedule, and that already sounded bad to me. And then you would get a hourly wage. So basically you could never walk out with zero or with negative amount of money like you could before. But okay, to briefly explain it, when strip clubs were only independent contractors, a strip club could have like 40 strippers and like 37 of them could be making absolutely no money, and it wouldn't matter to the strip club at all. Like, because if those rest of the 3 girls were making fucking bank, they do not care if 37 girls are sitting there wasting their time. But if those 37 girls are sitting there wasting their time and they have to pay them, then that is suddenly a lot more money that is coming out of the club's pocket. They're not gonna let that happen. So what are they gonna do? They're gonna reduce the revenue share for the dancers. They're gonna make, so basically like if a dance costs $20, the club will get 80%, the club will get 20%, you'll get 80%. And then maybe say after the law change, the club would get 30%, you'd get 20%. So anyways, it changed it enough that when I would look into it, it just felt like I wasn't going to make enough money to make it worth it. And so that's why I didn't go back. Cause yeah, I just sort of like, I took a break after the whole like dude coming on me thing and me talking to someone and just sort of having to figure out my feelings about everything. And then it was like the holidays and shit. And then, yeah, the law changed and I just felt like, okay, there's really no point in me going back, because if I can't make the same sort of fucking bank that I was making before, then this job is not worth it. And so I haven't gone back. I have thought about it sometimes, because every now and then you have one of those days where you're like, I could use 600 bucks in cash in my hand real bad right now. But I don't know, and I could be wrong, because I haven't given it a chance, you know? But I really hate being on a schedule. And one of the cool things about being an independent contractor is you have a lot of independence over who you choose to serve and who you don't. Like, that's the thing. You can say, like, I don't want to give you a dance. Why? Because you fucking weird me out. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. If you're an employee, you lose a lot of those kind of freedoms. And I don't like that. Because basically, the thing that has always been good about stripping is the combination of freedom and money. And so if you lose one or both of those things, then you're losing a giant part of what makes the job good. So if you're thinking about getting into stripping, I would definitely recommend look up all the laws in your area, see what the clubs in your state are like, get on the stripper web, and there's also this, it's like TSUCL, it's like the strip club list, I don't know, and there's all these reviews of different clubs and stuff, so you can just find out like what clubs are around you and what they're like, and if they're like full nude, if they're topless, if they have a bar, if not. Like in LA, you can't have full nude and a bar in the same place. Like, in California. So it's important to learn all of those kind of things. And then, but the good thing is, especially if you live in a state where it's still an independent contractor position, you can go try it out. You can do one audition. I promise you, you are not gonna lose a part of your soul the first time you whip off your top in front of a room full of people. I promise you, you won't. And you can see if you like it or not. And if you don't like it, you can literally walk out and never fucking go back. And they probably won't even notice. Like, it's totally fine. yeah, so that was my experience stripping. I thought I would never talk about it. I thought I would like take it as a secret to my grave, but recently I started doing OnlyFans and stuff, and which I never wanted to do that because like something I really liked about stripping was that no one ever had to know about it. And it was something I could like, I left my own private life like at the door, and then I was like my stripper persona in a club, and then I left that there and I was myself back at home, and they're not allowed to take pictures in a club, and it just felt like more contained, you know, and I liked that. And so I never understood the girls who would like sell nudes or do camming or anything, because like people could see that, and what if they like screenshot it and like looked at it forever. But the thing here is that if you are selling nudes or you're camming or something, they can't fucking touch you. And when you're stripping, they can touch you. And sometimes they can jizz on the outside of your underwear. And what I figured out for me personally, I'm okay with people looking at gorgeous photos of me that I have put out there. I am not okay with them fucking touching me. And so now I just sell pictures and I really like that no one can touch me, and that feels great. So that's my stripping experience. It was a wild ride. I'm not gonna say I'll never do it again because like it's really fun. And honestly, sometime I might go to Vegas and do it at a club there or something. 'Cause, sometimes I just like miss, I don't know, sometimes I miss it. It's a weird, it's an interesting job, and if you feel something that like pulls you to it, then I feel like you should listen to that. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you liked it. Subscribe to my channel. Follow me on social media at Erika Heidewald to keep up with my life and all the things that I do. And I will see you next time. Bye.